Okay. Am I live? Phone says I am. YouTube, come on YouTube, give me that good stuff. And, commercials. Not a problem.
What commercials are there?
What? There's pre-roll and there's post-roll.
What are the commercials?
Well, I mean, things in Israel, because I'm in Israel. Okay, we can skip. Audio, video. Yep, here we go. It's the Nazarite bringing you Hebrew lore from days of yore. Okay, hey, Spidey is here. What's up, Tux Magic? Now, are you actually in a tux? Are you actually Spidey? Do you actually practice magic? All of these things need to be known. Hey, good to see you again, Dev Coffee. I just caught her live on Instagram. Hey, good morning from Texas. No fucking way, says. Hey, Kim is here. Look at that. About to go to bed. Thank you. I appreciate it, Dev. Get some rest. Get some rest and get those pets off your bed. All right, now I want to give a shout out. Two things I want to do. I want to give a shout out to all of the people who donated last night. And one of the donations, it came in right at the end and I missed the question. I answered it in a post, but I want to give the dude, I want to do it now anyway. Oh, hang on. Okay. So, Bersace, Aiden Flynn, Free Palestine, HB, The Guy, Abdallah, Logan Sammons, Matty Ice, AD Man, Toiler, Tea Farmer, a name I can't pronounce, it's in Arabic and I don't know how to read it, unfortunately, Ryder Scoot, Jonathan Ramani, No Dog or No Dodge, Arc for Life, Jasper, and Matthew and MK. All of you donated close to I mean, I didn't do the math, but it was close to $80 US dollars to charity, which I deeply appreciate. I'm sure they will too once they get that check or whatever. Now, MK said this. Like I said, I put it in a post, but I wanted, since I missed it in the live stream, I'll open this live stream with it. So he said, I'm quoting Mishneh Torah, right, the Maimonides book of Halacha, chapter 12, Halacha 10. YouTube won't let me because it's too graphic, he says. Are you familiar with the text regarding forbidden sex? Can you explain? So I'm not a man of halacha, right? So I did not know precisely which halacha he was referring to, but I did read it, and it's basically, well, I'll read my response to him. So I told him, the Rambam Maimonides basically says, if you have sexual intercourse with a Samaritan girl, even if she is only 3 years old, there is a punishment for the girl as well as the guy. I said to him, this halacha pertains to sex with foreign women, right? And sexual conduct with foreign women. It's not about having sex with children. The Torah and halacha do not permit sex with children on general principle. In order for sexual intercourse to take place, right, there needs to be maturity of mind, maturity of body, and consent. Neither of those things, any of those things, exist in a 3-year-old, not then, and definitely not now. So the reason that Maimonides brings up this 3-year-old thing into the picture is to form halachic boundaries and parameters, right? Halacha is bound by certain technical parameters. And so there's a limit of some kind, right? From this to that. In other words, he's saying that sexual conduct with foreign women is forbidden by the Torah, even if they are only 3. He's not saying that sex with a 3-year-old is permissible or desirable or welcomed or properly sanctioned by I don't know what. The Torah asks us to be holy. That means consecrated. That means set apart, right? That means that we are here to elevate our lives, elevate our physical selves, right, alongside the world. So giving parameters to rabbinic law is a mainstream, straightforward thing. It's not tantamount to actually giving permission to sleeping with a 3-year-old boy or girl. It's simply saying, these are the parameters, okay? These are the edges of which we're talking about. It's giving you the hypothetical borders of where that would come into play. So, and also I told him Rambam was a physician. I'm sure that he was well aware that sexual intercourse with a 3-year-old would be damaging physically and mentally, and he would be well aware that it's against the wishes of the Torah that such a thing would take place. However, exceptions always exist, and that's why he brought that as a parameter. So if somebody sleeps with a 3-year-old, he wouldn't be able to say that he's exempt from that. No. The halacha says that even from age 3 and onward, this does not mean you're allowed to have sexual intercourse with 3-year-olds. I know a lot of people who are anti-Israel, anti-Jews, anti-Talmud, bring this up constantly. Oh, the halacha allows, rabbis said that you can have sex with a 3-year-old. No. Rabbis said, even if she is 3, like to give the parameters of the rabbinic law. That's why that is in place. So it was pertaining to sexual conduct with foreigners, not sexual conduct with children. Big difference. Okay, I gave the shout out. I gave the answer that I missed last night, and it's also in the post. Let's go with this chat. How would this affect LeBron's legacy? You know what? I don't think it will. I think that LeBron has a wonderful legacy. I'm not an NBA. I don't follow the NBA. Occasionally, I'll watch a game, and I have seen highlights of LeBron's career, and he is amazingly. I mean, look, I used to watch Jordan in the '90s on TV, and I mean, LeBron. I know there's no comparing the two. He's one and he's another, of course. But oh man, he is a tour de force. Seriously. Only Catholicism, says user, is the true religion. Everything else is a false religion. Yes, other users have said this same thing, to which I say, okay, that's your opinion, man, right, to quote the dude. Jake Iyer says, Methany, calm down. I don't know who Methany is. Is that me? Jake said, hi. Hi, Jake. What a cute hat, said Tamio Cutie, indeed. Kenzio says, rappers wouldn't be rich without Jews. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I mean, if they are talented and they are showcasing their talent, certainly now in the age of the internet, there's no reason why they wouldn't be rich and famous of their own merit, of their own accord. King Gobra says, why do you keep pushing corn on our youth? Well, because corn is relatively healthy. I know that there are healthier vegetables, but it is relatively healthy. And if you are substituting corn for pornography, I'm going to say that people say that about the state of Israel. I have no idea what's going on with that, or if it's true or if it's not true. I don't think the state of Israel pushes a lot of pornography anywhere. As for Jews, yes, Jews are involved in many places in industry, many places in politics, many positions of power. This has always, or pretty much always, been the case. Some see it to the benefit and some to the detriment of whatever state or country or nation these influences are in. But why do you keep pushing corn on our youth? I have no idea. What is your answer? Why do you think? Some might say that Jews are here to destabilize society and corrupt the youth. I don't think that's the case. I think that people, Jews more specifically, have known to be good at doing business. And like it or not, and I don't like it, let's be clear about that, but like it or not, the adult industry is a billions and billions of dollars a year industry. Where there is a demand, there will be the supply. That's the way that business goes. JV says, holy cow, your hair is cool. Thanks, I appreciate it. It's just hair. It's just dead keratin, basically. Okay. How is the promised land, says Spidey. It's pretty good. It's nice and sunny here in Jerusalem. It's probably a little cold out there. It is February. But it's nice. It's very, very nice. And today is Tetvav B'Shvat, the 15th of Shvat. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu, Melech HaOlam, she'akol yeh b'dvaro. Oh, some good tea. Okay. What's the topic? Audi says, whatever topic you want, Audi, just shout it out. Jews are involved in a lot of negative things, says Bavelines. Yes, I agree. Jews are involved in a lot of negative things. Jews are involved in a lot of positive things. It is the way of the world. In every group of people, you'll have the schmucks and you'll have the more benevolent people. What are you going to do? That's the way of the world. Ria says, Arabs and Jews both suck. They think they can go to heaven. Well, that's not necessarily specific to Jews and Arabs, but I hear what you're saying. And yes, in the Arabian or Arab community and in the Jewish Hebrew community, people suck. I don't make these broad generalizations, but yes, many people across the world suck. Many people, when you gather them up in large groups, suck. It is just the nature of the beast, right? Because then you have this groupthink, and that's no good, because groupthink goes against the individual to some degree, and that sucks, and it takes away the individual's ability to carry out some critical thinking, and that more or less turns people stupid. So yes. Both are bad bitches, says Ria Randi. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree, indeed, bad bitches. America First says, what is the best way to establish self-discipline? Humility. Humility is the best way to establish self-discipline. Humility is giving things their proper time and place. Humility is knowing in time, right, when to lower yourself and how to humble yourself in a way that is something where it exits from you in truth and is accepted by others in truth. And in doing so, you are able to build bridges. And in doing so, you are able to make common ground, right, and understanding and form relationships with people. And this life is all about relationships. When you come down to it, life is about relationships. Many people on their deathbed, they didn't say, oh, I should have worked more. Oh, I should have made more money. No, they say, oh, I should have invested in my relationships. I should have done this with my kids. I should have been better to my woman. I don't know, whatever the case may be, but it's relationships, right? That's what it comes down to. And humility allows a person, by and large, to form relationships with that much more of a rapid, let's see, you can scale it. Let's put it that way. Because when you go with humility, and without pride, vanity, and arrogance, then you are able to see things a lot clearer, because the lens through which you are looking at the world is one where it's not that you're owed all kinds of stuff, but you go with truth, and with righteousness and humility, knowing the right time and place for things. And that discernment and that caution makes you able to form relationships that much easier. So that's why I think that the road to self-discipline is, first of all, humility. Humility is the key to all positive attributes. Humility is the key to all positive personality traits. That's the way that I see it. Nice to hear, says Audi, someone talk about humility, not just from the perspective of shutting up and being small. No, shutting up and being small is part of it, but you're not a doormat. You need to set boundaries. Humility is giving things their proper time and place, and when it's time to set a boundary, you better damn well set it and stand behind it. You're not a doormat. So if your boundaries are being trampled, the humble thing to do is to stand up for yourself. That's the humble thing to do. There is supposed to be a line, and the lines might change and they might be but they should not be amorphous, right? You should know what your boundaries are. You should know that good boundaries come from self-compassion, not rigidness. Good boundaries come from humility, not arrogance, not pride. If you build them on pride and arrogance, I don't know how much of a future they have in the real world. But if you build them on humility and compassion, then you're able to see things a lot differently and a lot more clearly. Not 100%. I don't talk in absolutes. But yeah, shutting up and being small. Look, there is a time to shut up and be small, right? What's the first rule of power? Don't outshine the master, something like that, right? So yeah. Take a shower, says Zhivago. I have. I've taken many showers in my life, believe it or not. Do you accept Jesus Christ as the Messiah and King of Kings? Diamonds asks. No, I do not. I believe he may have been until he died, but now he's just a dead man to me. No more, no less. Is there any similarity between Catholicism and Judaism? Asks Bad B. I don't know enough about Catholicism to make any claim regarding similarities. I know that certain things in the Orthodox Christian traditions do mirror certain facets of the temple worship, but other than that, no, I have no idea. I really don't. Bacon says, I've ended up here again. Hey, look at that. Good for you. You always seem very respectful, even to the trolls. Well, look, what am I going to do? I'm going to fight with people? If people make an argument that is coherent, I'm not even going to debate. I'll talk with them. If people just want to be a troll, I'll be a troll right back. And it doesn't necessarily mean being disrespectful. It means, like I said, giving things their proper time and place. So if now is the time and place to deal with a troll, I still don't need to be a prick in order to get my point across. Right? You can kill them with kindness. You can use honey and not vinegar. Even though, ironically, I don't partake of honey or vinegar. At least not wine vinegar. Tippy Top says Goyim slop. I don't know what Goyim slop means, but okay, if you say so. Let's continue down in the chat. Why your teeth look like baby shoes penny grub, says Shrunky. I don't know what baby shoes penny grub means, but my teeth are A, a little crooked, B, a tad discolored. I'm working on whitening them, though. But no, I have no idea. Hesh says, I have the same nose, man, but I'm Egyptian. Explanation for this, please? Well, you don't have to be a Hebrew to have a Hebrew schnoz. It just so happens that our genetics map in the, in the rhino area. That's how it goes. Death Cradle. Love the name, man. What do you think happens when we integrate what we believe virtues of God into our lives? Well, the virtues of God, as I see them, are the attributes, right, of God. The emanations of God are the 10 sfirot, the tree of life, right, as brought down. And so what happens when you are able to personify and integrate those virtues of God, those emanations, those revelations of God into your being and carry them out de facto in reality, you find out and you become that unique and specific image of God in which you, the human being, are created. And we are each and every one of us created in a specific image of God that pertains only to you. Even if you believe in reincarnation and you say that your soul or your spark of a soul is something that has been reincarnated in a previous body and there will be another body, there is still something that you alone in this soul, in this body, in this time, in this place are able to achieve that no other soul, no other body at no other time is actually able to carry out in that very same way. You're a unique creation. So what happens when we integrate what we believe virtues of God into our lives? What happens is you become that personification, right, of the image of God, that clean and pure manifestation of the image of God. Now, we can't all be clean and pure 100%. We are fallen. We live in a world of good and evil, right? We're not back in Eden yet. So there will always be somewhere where we fall from grace, sometime when we miss the mark, something where we fall short of the ideal. But that pursuit of perfection in itself is perfection. You'll never attain it, but so long as you are pursuing it, you are indeed becoming more perfect. Ergo, perfection is part of your life and it's part of what guides you, even if you are not actually de facto perfect 100%. That's what I believe happens when you integrate virtues into your life. And like I said, the chief one is humility. It's the key to all the others. Hey, Diamond says shalom. I'm sorry, not Diamond. It's Damien. Hey, shalom to you. Varun says, religion is for common people, intelligent enough have grown above these things. I'm inclined to agree to some degree, but religion is a path. Now, you might say you need to go into religion for a time, and then you can outgrow it through pursuit of intellect and spiritual pursuits that pertain more to you, and so you leave the communal path. You leave the straight and narrow trodden path, and you go on the path less taken, right? The Zen koan, the famous one, is when you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. In other words, if you have studied with a master, been with the religion, done the religion thing, you outgrow it, and you're going on your own path, and then you meet a Buddha, kill him. He has nothing to do with you. You keep doing you. You had your time of studying under a master. You had the time of being part of a communal religion. You had the time of going with the mainstream crowd. You had the time of being a sort of sheep. And now it's time for you to be your own shepherd. And it means that if you meet a different shepherd, that's something else. So get rid of him and keep doing your own thing. But common people, there's nothing wrong with there is nothing inherently wrong with religion being for common people, right? But there are common people and uncommon people, and you can make the argument that religion for the common people means it's a way for the common person to have a relationship with the Most High God and integrate spirituality into their everyday life. Is it a necessity to have religion? No. You can have spirituality without religion, obviously. But religion is a discipline. Religion is a path. Religion is commitment. Religion is adherence. Religion is lowering yourself for a time, like the hourglass, lowering yourself and then opening up. It's a path that you can take. And when you open up, you can integrate everything that you have learned on the communal path and make it your own truly. That's part of what religion can do. So if you're common or uncommon, organized man-made religion, despite all its faults and shortcomings and insufficiencies, can be useful, maybe for a time, maybe until death, but it can definitely be useful because it makes you go under a discipline, right? So on the one hand, it constricts you, but on the other hand, it will help you to set yourself free more than you would have been otherwise. That's what I think on religion. Tippy Top says, here's your vehicle of salvation, my brother. Go out and buy a gun. You know what? I don't think I'm going to buy a gun. I have a permit to carry a gun, but I am not interested in buying a gun simply because I spoke to my woman and she's not interested, and it needs to be a decision we both make. So even though I have the permit, I do not carry. Hey, Lenny is here. How you doing, Lenny? Good to see you. Beware the tiny hat mafia, says that guy, Brooke. Who are the tiny hat mafia? I'm curious. You are from which country, says Nikita Chopra. I am in Israel, in Jerusalem. And where are you from? Enough religion already, says Terry McAdam. Well, look, this channel is about religion, faith, spirituality, and self-development. And we go into psychology, we go into philosophy, we go into farts, we go into, charts, whatever it is that you want, we'll discuss it, basically. I just hope to catch your message in the chat, and I will run with it. So if you have another, Terry, if you have a different suggestion for a topic, by all means, I will roll with it. By all means, do it. Maybe tag me so I'll be able to see it more clearly if I do see it. Okay, let's continue. You're from India, says Nikita. All right, cool. You let your woman tell you can't have a gun. No, Samps, I consult with my woman because two brains are better than one, right? She thinks in a way that I don't. She sees reality in a way that I don't. And since this is a household that we both keep and we are equal partners in keeping and upkeeping, if I'm going to bring a firearm into this house, especially when we have kids, and we have several of them, thank God, it means that, yes, of course, I consult her on whether or not to buy a firearm. Definitely. I hope the Americans wake up and send them home, says Illegal Life. Send who home? I'm not sure what you're talking about, but okay. The value of ritual, says Audi. Yes, there is value in ritual. There is value in even man-made rituals if they are aiming towards some sort of divine relationship and attribute. There is value even there. Not anything and everything. It's not like anything goes. But to throw that baby out with the bathwater would be a shame. Tyrone says, how do you make sense of the distinction between religion and science's models of the earth? Is it flat or a sphere? It definitely is a sphere, right? Physically speaking. Science is a sphere. The book of Job says it's flat. So let's put it this way. The idea of the earth being a physical sphere, yes. The idea of the flatness, as in four corners, pertains to what four corners means, right? There are four letters in the tetragrammaton, okay? There are four elements. There are four corners of the earth, each one corresponding to an element, each one corresponding to a name. There are traditionally four worlds, Atzilut, Bria, Yetzira, Asiya. In other words, the number four corresponds to many things. This doesn't necessarily mean the physical earth is flat. It means that the earth, as in the final emanation of the divine revelation that is manifested here physically as a planet revolving around a star, okay? It means that it's physically a sphere, but spiritually it has corners. Spiritually it's comprised of four elements. Spiritually it means that you can, depending on who you are and where you are, you can learn from each one of the winds that blow. Do you know what I'm saying? Maybe you don't, maybe you do. But we're talking about the metaphysical and spiritual element, and there, okay, it's not that the earth is flat, it's that it has corners. This does not mean that the physical earth has corners. It means that earth as a concept of the physical world has spiritual origins. Those spiritual origins here become four elements, but they all have their root in the tetragrammaton, in Yod He Vav He, each one of those corresponding to a different divine revelation. From the different, from the top of the pyramid, let's say, of spirituality down to the physical world, there's a kind of degradation. So things are kind of lost in translation, or things are lost on the way, physical things to which you attribute spiritual things that may not be, and so on. So in order to make sense, like you said, what is it? To make the distinction, yes. In order for there to be distinction, you need to look at it through the whole spectrum, right? Where Earth can be a physical sphere, but a spiritual flatness with corners. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay, let's continue. Islam teaches you to be a pedophile. Well, I wouldn't know. I'm not a Muslim, and I have spoken to Muslims. None of them mentioned pedophilia, I gotta say. So I don't know. No learning from Islam, says Aital. Okay, I think that you can actually learn a lot from Islam, but I have no idea. I just know that it can't really, the end-all be-all can't be what I've experienced here in Israel all my life. I do believe that there is a different type of Islam in other countries which might be more peace-loving, but I don't know. I've experienced a lot of war, bloodshed, and terrorism at the hands of Islam. You can call it extreme Islam, radical Islam, or just Islam. I don't know. But I know that I haven't studied it enough to actually have an opinion. I just know what I've experienced. Are you an exiled Rasta rabbi? No, I'm not exiled. I'm not a Rasta, and I'm not a rabbi. So that's 0 for 3, Nicola, I'm sorry. 0 for 3. Okay, let's go. Lenny says, within most influenced societies, which is heavily set in norms and societal bias, do you personally believe it's possible for society to change? And now, would it harder for that to happen than before? Look, societal change There's an argument whether it starts from the top to the bottom, right, trickle down, or whether it's grassroots from the bottom to the top. I can only go by my own experience. My own experience says that it starts with the individual. My own experience says that it starts with me. It starts with you and with your circle of concern, your circle of influence, your immediate circle of influence. Later on in life, it can branch out and it can, like throwing a pond into a river, right? It can ripple out. The butterfly effect, right? That whole thing. So it is indeed heavily set in norms and biases, I agree. It is possible to change. I believe that there's more change that can happen grassroots than top to bottom. I don't precisely know if it's true. It's just what I'm feeling when you ask the question. So I might be totally wrong. I suppose you'll have to ask anthropologists, sociologists, and people who are actually academics, who have studied this, who have researched it ad nauseum. So yeah. Mike Tyson says, what do you think of Messianic Jews? I've had the privilege and the honor and the loveliness of studying with Messianic Jews. I think that there's no problem with thinking that Jesus was Messiah. I think there's a problem with thinking that he is a God incarnate. That goes against the Torah. There's no problem thinking he was Messiah until he died. There's no problem in thinking that he was resurrected. Both of those things have a precedent in the Bible. So what do I think of them? I think that if they accept the fact that he's dead, that's one thing. If they're waiting for him to return truly, that may be another thing. It goes from Messianic to the other, depending on what opinions they hold. But by and large, I think that they are simply Messianics, Jews who put too much emphasis on the idea of Messiah. Now, there is an argument to be made for putting emphasis and focus on the character of the king and of Messiah and of the anointed one. But I personally think, and I might be wrong here, that too much emphasis is placed on Messiah, too much emphasis is placed on a king, too much emphasis is placed on anointed ones. And there's too much, oh, when Messiah comes, no, there's too much of that going on. How about behaving in such a way that would hasten his coming without actually needing to put all those eggs in that basket? Because a king is not a necessity, an anointed one is not a must. These are not commandments. It's permissible, but it's not a commandment to crown a king, to anoint a king. Ergo, a Messiah may happen, may not happen. Yes. Your nose is big, you are Jew, says Hitler. Yes, my nose is big. I have a proud Jewish schnoz. I try not to be proud in my day-to-day, but the schnoz gives it away. What am I going to do? Is Jewish Messiah the Antichrist, Diamonds asked? You'll have to ask Christians. Okay? Messiah means anointed one. Christ means anointed one. So actually what you're asking is the Jewish anointed one the anti and against the anointed one? Which means, is the Jewish king against the Christian Messiah? And the way I see it, it might be if you're talking about the state of Israel, and if you're talking about renewing our days as of old, and if you're talking about a state of war and death and destruction, then it might come to pass that Israel will make war on Esau. But that doesn't need to happen, despite all the prophecies and all that. Prophecies of war and destruction and eradication and annihilation do not need to come to pass. They don't. We can go in a path of love. We can go in a path of brotherhood, of justice, and transcend all of those horrible prophecies of death and destruction and war. So is the Jewish Messiah the Antichrist? Possibly. That's one possible viable future. Doesn't have to be at all. Let's continue. According to Christians, the Jewish Messiah is Jesus. Yes, Aital, exactly. They consider the Messiah, the anointed one, to be Jesus of Nazareth. Laser says, why do you call yourself the Hebrew Nazarite? I don't. I call myself a Hebrew Nazarite. But here I am, the Hebrew Nazarite, because there's only one on YouTube with that name. So that's why. Oh, wait, am I stuck? No? I'm live? Okay, cool. So because I'm a Hebrew man who has taken on the vow of the Nazarite, that's why I call myself the Hebrew Nazarite. The username was available, so I took it. Why do you call non-Jews Goyim and consider yourselves a superior race? P. Ken Tainer asks. We don't. Some Jews do, for sure. Some Jews are supremacists. Some Jews are racists. Some Jews are idiots. Some Jews are batshit insane. However, I'm not one of them. So making that broad generalization is a false account, right? The entire premise of your account is false to begin with. As for why, some people take what's written in the Torah and they virtue signal, they take it as a crown that they should not be wearing. So, goyim means nations, nations outside of Israel. Israel itself is also a goy, and this is written in the Torah and in the Bible many times. As for being a superior race, I don't think we are superior in the least. I think we were selected for specific tasks, for a specific task or for specific tasks, and other nations were selected for other tasks, and no one is better than the other. Also, when push comes to shove, I always go back to Eden. And in Eden, there were no nations, there was no Israel and Goyim, there was nothing of the sort. There was just humankind, the divine revelation, and nature chilling out. That's what I'm shooting for, that's what I'm going for. We're not there yet, but the mindset, that type of mindset, helps to guide me and inform me. And that's why I'm all for humility and not for supremacy, and that's why Goyim literally means nations, but people use it pejoratively, unfortunately. Let's continue. I like this dude, says Ital. Thanks, man. I like you too. It's always nice to engage with people. Why do holy men suck baby dick, says Lono. They don't suck baby dick. They suck out the blood from the wound of circumcision. Also, I'm not for putting the mouth on the penis. I'm for using a straw or single-use sterile apparatus of some kind, like a straw. Not an actual straw you'd get like at Mickey D's or KFC's. And the reason they do it is because there are 3 parts to circumcision, while the third one is debatable, and that's the one you're talking about, milah pri'ah v'metzitza, which is circumcision, removing the foreskin, spreading of the skin, sucking out the blood. And it has been a debate on whether or not the blood actually needs to be sucked, how it needs to be sucked, but so you suck the wound, but it's been shown that there's an actual medical possibility, right? A medical emergency that might arise, and herpes, infections, and so some people do it still with the mouth, and I'm against that. Yes. So why? Because it's part of circumcision for many people. I don't know how you can be so peaceful, man. I'm not even Jewish, I'm a Christian, and up in arms over Islam, says Ital. Well, I'll tell you this. No good will come from me attacking an entire religion without doing my due diligence and finding out about the religion first. So I will know what to answer when people come at me with what ifs and whataboutisms and this and this and that. Because I live in Israel and my mind has been warped by decades of war, bloodshed, and terrorism, I can't say that I can approach Islam with a clean slate, tabula rasa. I can't actually approach it, not even a little objectively. Once we have peace, and I will be able to be more objective about it, come to it from a purer point of view, if you will, I will definitely read the Quran, I will definitely study Islam, because right now all I've experienced, or much of what I've experienced, not all, I don't speak in absolutes, but much of what I, as a Hebrew man in Jerusalem, have experienced is the sirens and the dead bodies, whether it be here, whether it's in the army. So yeah, that's not okay. Nice hat, loser, says Weeded Mazel 420. Thanks, and I am a loser. I've lost many things in life. I dare say I might still lose many things in life. However, the fact that I'm still here, in it to win it, makes me on the road to the win. So losing is temporary, but the winning will be something that will, the winning will have this eternity about it. That's what I'm thinking. Okay, let's continue. Islam has always been a problem. No, this is not exactly true. There are times, Islam's golden age, and other times when Muslim authorities and leadership was rational and proper and not all up in arms with jihad. There are times, look, Arab conquest, not Muslim necessarily, but Arab conquest, and people conflate the two, but okay. Arabs have been always conquering, but that's true to any empire. Any nation, almost, right? People have always been conquered. Anywhere where there is a group of people, other perhaps than some tribes in the Amazon or I don't know what, have been conquered and reconquered, liberated and retaken. It's like time and time and time again. It's not just the Jerusalem area. It's not just Israel or Canaan or Palestine or Ilia Capitolina or El Quds or whatever you want to call it. The wars have been all over for the entirety of human history, certainly during recorded history. Empires rise and empires fall, people are displaced, nations are confused. That's the way of the world, it's the way things go. So to say that it's always been a problem, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. By that token, we are all a problem. And you could say, no, I'm talking about here and now. It's like, okay, There's definitely Islam that is causing a problem, but I won't make the broad generalization because I don't speak in absolutes, but I understand those who do. I really do. Okay, let's continue. I went to Hebrew Academy. Oh, wait, the chat just jumped. I'm sorry. Okay. Rase says, I went to Hebrew Academy and learned to read and write in Hebrew. It's a hard language to learn. I can only read it with vowels and can't understand much of what I'm reading. Love my Jewish people. Hey, well, Litvak, good for you. Hebrew is a tough language. Thankfully, I've spoken it from, I'm bilingual. I've spoken it all my life. I can read it with the vowels and without. Username says, what's your thoughts on the illegal settlement in the West Bank? My thoughts on settlements are that A, there's no such thing as colonial settler. That's bullshit. Can't colonize the place where we are actually indigenous to. No such thing. As for settling, there are some fringe settlements that are illegal, that should be dismantled, that should be taken down. There are other settlements that have been taken legally, okay? And there are settlements that I don't know all of the considerations and the ins and outs and intricacies that went into deciding to make a settlement there. Could be strategic, right? Security reasons that I'm not aware of. I'm just one small dumbass in the Middle East. So, like I say every time. So, illegal settlements by whose definition? Illegal internationally? Illegal morally? What definition do you mean? And if you do mean illegal internationally, that would behoove the West Bank to act in an internationally legalistic way as well, and they do not follow international law. They don't. So it wouldn't be proper, fair, or just to expect Israel to act completely morally and legally when the other side completely flaunts all of it, throws it all away. It's just not the way things are done. So my thoughts are there are some illegal settlements that are, even by my definition, illegal and should not be, and other ones that definitely should be, and ones that maybe are just there for the provocative, occupying thing. I don't know. I will say this. The West Bank was in the hands of Jordan for almost 20 years. They annexed it. They didn't give the Palestinians a state, which means that they wanted nothing to do with such a thing. Nothing. Not a thing. The same thing with Egypt and Gaza. Okay, let's continue. Can you explain the secondary gift of anti-Semitism from Jacob and Esau? Rose of Nazareth. Can I explain it? No, I can't explain it. I will just say that the sibling rivalry runs very deep. When Jacob, according to Torah, does his job, when the people of Israel are following the Torah, keeping to the commandments, cleaving to the covenant, then Esau has no power over them. Right? Esau traditionally is Edom. Edom is, right, that's his other name. Edom is traditionally Rome. Rome later became Christianity. So the sibling rivalry manifests also as anti-Semitism, right? Anti-Semitism in this case is not simply anti-sons of Shem, son of Noah, but Jew hatred. So let's call it Jew hatred. It's from the right and the left. It's from Esau and from Ishmael. It doesn't have to be that way. Look, the houses of Jacob, Esau, and Ishmael all received blessings. They all have a different job to do, a different task to perform. Israel is no better than either one of them according to my definition and in my understanding. It might be false, but that's how I see things. Esau, Israel, and Ishmael each have their own thing to do. Each have their own mission, their own task, their own job, their own way and faith and tradition to get things done. The problem is that when Israel doesn't perform its duty and doesn't stick to the covenant, everything just goes all messy. And that's a problem. So can I explain the secondary gift? I don't think so. I do know that it says in the Torah that after 20-odd years, Jacob and Esau met and embraced, and the sibling rivalry was gone. And even though some sages say that it still remained, I choose to think of it as a good omen that Esau and Jacob were able to meet and embrace after a 20-something year separation. Or it's 20 years, 21 years, and the nations of Esau and Israel will be able to do the same thing, God willing. But the onus, right, is on us. The responsibility is on the people of Israel, as far as I can tell, to stick to the covenant, perform the mitzvahs, follow the Torah, right, and treat each other right, try to make a just and humane society, and then that ripples out. And then there will be no need for war. There will be no need for rivalry. There will be no need for any adversarial element to come into Israel, not as a people, not as a place, because we will have already been, it will sort of drop away of its own accord. So that's what I think about that, like off the top of my head there. All right. Macon says, I am a sinner, so am I. Hey, we have that in common. But I know Jesus loves. He loves you even if you don't know him. Well, okay, that's cool. Good for me, I suppose, right? Chazak brother, says Eliyahu, would you like to see a new Sanhedrin established? If it is a Sanhedrin that has proper smicha, laying of the hands, like from Moses to Joshua, and if it is indeed a Sanhedrin, not like the one we have now where there's no consensus, one where there is an actual proper consensus and smicha, two things that need to happen. Two things, smicha and consensus. Then yes, I would definitely like to see a new Sanhedrin because it will be able to abolish a lot of gzerot and takanot that need to be abolished already, and it will be able to restore the actual oral tradition, the actual Torah shebe'al peh, the actual oral Torah, as opposed to what we have now, which is the written oral Torah from which we derive halacha. That is not the way it was supposed to be, and it only became that way because of destruction, death, woe, exile, and horrible things happening to the Hebrew people. So yes, I would like to see a new Sanhedrin established. I would still consider myself an Am Haaretz, meaning I won't necessarily go by the Sanhedrin's rulings. But I would want to see it established for one reason and one reason only. It's not a halachic one either. The reason I would want to see a new Sanhedrin established is because that would mean that the people of Israel were actually able to get together and agree on something as a people. And when we can do that, when we have that kind of unity and we turn it towards the good, just like the Tower of Babel, right? And they turned it towards wickedness. If we'll be able to turn it towards the good, there is nothing that we won't be able to achieve. It's true to the people of Israel, it's true to the humanity on this planet at large. But for it to start with one nation, yeah, I'll go with that. And if it means establishing the new Sanhedrin, definitely, I'm on board with that. For sure. We have a red cow, says Ancient. Do you want to buy? How do we ship it? Well, you'll have to talk to the Temple Institute here in Yerushalayim. They are itching for a red heifer, but you'll have to bring proper halachic cause why it's a kosher red heifer. Pretty Patriot says to help the kids that they are going to sacrifice, travel to where they need him to a lot easier. Okay, maybe there was something before this comment, but I don't know what you're talking about, Pretty Patriot. Eliyahu says, amazing, thank you for your response, much success to you, and to all of you out there. Incidentally, it's been 43 minutes or so, a quick aside to say thank you. I deeply appreciate your time, your kind and gentle and lovely attention. You know, the hate, the love, the subs, the views, what else? The likes, the super chats, the super stickers, the super thanks, whatever it is. Incidentally, if you do give, it goes to charity, so by all means give, if you're interested. And I hope it's of some value. I hope it's of some entertainment. I know that I'm having a blast. I have a blast with every live stream. It's always awesome. It's always good. I'm so happy to be here on Monday afternoon, broadcasting live from Jerusalem. I don't take it for granted that you take time out of your day, out of your life, out of your, being to listen to my rants, raves, and blah, blah, blahs. Okay. Username says, their book teaches them they are better than us and the rest of us are subhuman. False. That is the opinion of a sage, or a few sages even, but even if it was made into halacha, these halachas are precisely the type of things that I don't go for, and why I stepped away from keeping strict halacha, because I choose to remember the human, and I don't differentiate where there is no need to differentiate. And even when I do differentiate Israel and the nations, I don't do it in a way of human, subhuman, of superiority and inferiority. I think that is a foolish way to go about it for me, because I would love to go in a path of humility and equality of opportunity, let's say. And that means giving people grace, giving people respect, giving people the ability to let their image of God shine forth, which is no lesser than my own image of God that I am trying to bring and manifest as well. The people who do say that Jews are better, the people who do think of this superior race nonsense, they consider it to be absolute truth. I consider it to be nonsense because it can literally cause you to do nonsensical things. I say that word and I mean it. I mean it. I really do. It doesn't make sense to think that you're better than anyone else other than pride, vanity, and arrogance that's the shadow of, what are you going to do with that information? Okay, you're better. So? What does that mean? That means you are, what, better and you can decide everything for everyone? What does that actually give you? I don't think it gives you anything but virtue signaling power, and that's no power at all. But that's just me, that's just my opinion. Okay, let's continue. Marina says, I can carry a woman against her will for over a mile. Well, it depends on her weight, it depends on her shape, but if you can carry for over a mile, that is awesome. Good for you. That shows some strength. You're a beautiful person, says Litvak. Thanks, I appreciate that. Very intelligent. I have my moments. I have my moments of being unintelligent and unbeautiful, I guarantee that. You need some mod... No. No mods, no bans, no kicking out, no putting in timeouts. It's a free and open chat. Let the spammers, let the trolls, let the haters say their piece. Maybe they will get it all out of their system. They will leave some sort of a vacant vessel, and goodness and positivity and benevolence will be able to take the place of the hatred and the malevolence. You know, the Tao Te Ching says that the most useful part of a pot is its emptiness. Right? So there is this idea of becoming empty and remaining empty and being a vessel for the divine revelation to flow through you. Don't hoard it. Don't harbor it. Become empty, and then you will always be full. But it won't be you full of yourself. It will be you being full and having a flow with reality, a flow with your fellow humans. That's why, as far as I'm concerned, the haters and the naysayers and the people full of vitriol. Maybe this chat will be that moment, that time, that day, that instance where they get it out of their system. Nobody's pushing back against them. Nobody is calling them names. Nobody is doing anything to insult them. And they will be able to get it out finally, and be a little bit more empty. And that gives me hope. Okay, let's continue. Murphy says, how to learn Talmudic magic as a non-Jewish man. Well, first of all, you can read the Talmud. Second of all, I wouldn't practice any kind of magic at all unless you are at that place. I think that even if you have the technical ability and the technical knowledge, it doesn't actually mean that you have the, well, how shall I put it? You're not quite at the level of being able to control the elements and to have the entities, the spiritual entities, demonic and angelic entities, do your bidding. It means that if you do technically know the clothes to wear, the names to contemplate, the different things that you need to carry out, and the breaths and the sounds, and what you need to do, what you need to burn, what you need to write, if you know all of the practical elements of a ritual, technically speaking, it still doesn't mean that you are at the level of being able to carry it out, which means that it might be carried out. But then those entities, right, and the forces of nature, when you bend them and you don't have the merit and you don't have the dominion truly to lord over them, then it will come back at you like a boomerang. And so that's why I stay away from any kind of magic, and I stay away from any kind of warping of the elements, let's say. I don't deal with practical Kabbalah. I am not a Kabbalist. I'm a student of the Tree of Life. And even if I were a Kabbalist, I would want to stay away from Kabbalah Ma'asit, practical Kabbalah, the Kabbalah of Olam Ha'asiyah, of this world of action. Okay. Don't worry, you're normal, and don't worry, real men would definitely respect you for sure, says Turk Wendell. No, it's all good. There's no worries. Don't worry. Be happy. But I appreciate the sentiment. I do. The Last Mando says, do you think of all Israel/Palestine belongs to the Jews? No, the land belongs to the Creator. It is part of creation. It belongs to the Creator. Different people across history may have had the opportunity to inhabit it. This is true. But it doesn't make them masters of the land. Not in the least. They are inhabitants, stewards, caretakers. If they don't take care, if their stewardship fails, they will be kicked out. And if so, do you think the Palestinians should be kicked out? So no, I don't, which means that I don't think the Palestinians should be kicked out. And also, Jews were Palestinians as well and had a Palestinian passport. The British Mandate of Palestine was over the entire area of Canaan, Israel, and Transjordan. So those people were all Palestinians. The fact that there are some people claiming this ancient heritage is horseshit. The Palestinian identity started as a thing in the beginning of the 20th century, solidifying in the 1960s, and with the flag and with all that, but basically, people were living here, to be sure. People of other faiths and religions, great. We can live in peace with them. But to kick them out, no. But don't come at me and say that this is this ancient people. No, it is not an ancient people. It's people that came from different places, fair enough, to inhabit this land. Again, fair enough. To make peace would be the best way to go about it. So I'm not looking to kick anybody out. I'm looking to live side by side with my Ishmaelite cousins. That's what I would want most of all, because we truly, truly need peace here. Bear Hall says this dude immediately has Satanist vibes. Well, if you mean Satan as in like Levian Church of Satan, not in the least. If you mean Satan as in devil worship, actually worshiping the adversary, not in the least. It's not my duty, nor my responsibility, nor my aim or goal to worship the devil, not in the secular sense, not in the religious sense, but people hear my thoughts and my ideas, and some of them immediately say, oh, this dude is totally a devil worshiper, and hey, that's their prerogative. It's a free internet. Religion equals Satan. So not necessarily. Some religions, Satan literally means adversary. That's what it means in Hebrew. So religion equals Satan, my immediate thought is no. Some parts of religion, yes. Some religions at large, you can say, are more satanic or adversarial in nature than the others. But if you mean that religion as such is an adversary, I would say there are elements of adversarial elements in organized religion, and that's why I pick and choose. I pick and choose everything. I cherry pick everything from the entire Bible. I cherry pick everything from rabbinic law, everything from halacha, right? I pick and choose everything, and I make no apology because I understand that there are adversarial elements within religion, within man-made organized religion, definitely, within the more divinely inspired things as well, because this was given to people, right? Given to people. Religion is for people. Okay, let's continue. What do you think about the Epstein files? Caleb asks. I don't know enough about the Epstein files to actually have an opinion. From what I understand, it's A, too heavy for me to comprehend, and B, I haven't no, there's no, well, that is it basically. I don't know enough about it to have an opinion. So I have no idea. I really don't. When are you going to protest ICE? Says Captain Cocoa Puff. Love the name, Cap. I don't know what ICE is. I think that it's the anti-immigration, or not anti-immigration, like the Immigration Enforcement Agency. That's not the proper acronym. I don't even know the acronym for ICE. But since I'm not an American citizen living in America, I'm an American citizen living abroad. I've lived here in Israel my entire life, so other than a few years in the Netherlands. So I don't know what ICE is doing, nor do I know if I should be protesting them, nor would I know how to go about protesting them in Israel, because they have no jurisdiction here. So you tell me, Captain, what am I supposed to do about ICE? How should I educate myself and protest from Israel? I really don't know. Pecan says, how can one believe in any Abrahamic religion's God when all the three were revealed for the people living around in the Middle East, even when a good number of population were living on other continents? Well, look, Christianity presumably is supposed to rule the world. Everybody is supposed to accept Jesus. Muslims say, if I've understood it correctly, that Muhammad is the final revelation and the Quran is the final revelation, right? He's the final prophet, and but the Hebrews have no such thing. The Hebrews keep to themselves. The Hebrews are 0.01% of the population, or 0.02. Like 15 million of us, where there's billions of Muslims and Christians who seek to some degree world domination, right? As a faith, as a religion, as a way where everyone must submit to the rule of Allah or accept the divinity of Jesus, right? Lord, Savior, Lamb of God. But the Hebrews have no such thing. Now, the Hebrew faith was the original Abrahamic faith in the sense that Islam came later, even though Ishmael is the firstborn from Hagar, but I'm not chronologically speaking, the Hebrew faith, Christianity, then Islam, right? So the Hebrew faith is about 5,000 years old or so, and the Christianity is about 2,000 years old after the destruction of the Second Temple, and right, which fell at 70 of the Common Era, burned by Rome, and then Islam about 1,400 years ago. So chronologically speaking, the latter two came after the former by a considerable amount. Now, I don't know how other people can believe in that God. I know that the Hebrews, by and large, do not proselytize. Orthodox people actively discourage conversion to the Hebrew faith. An Orthodox rabbi will take you through the ringer, right? Generally, really rip it out of you, right? For you to become a convert. For some people, it takes years because you need to know what you're getting into, right? Because once you make the covenant and join the Hebrew tribes, there's no getting out, even if you convert to another religion. So a good number of the population were living on other continents. This is true. It doesn't matter to the Hebrews. The Hebrews stick to themselves. We're not supposed to have everybody be Hebrews. Christianity, however, says that you must spread the gospel and spread the good news. Islam says that you need to make believers of the non-believers, right? If I understood it correctly, I might be wrong. Both of those proselytize, both of those seek some kind of global domination. The Hebrews don't. So how can one believe in any Abrahamic religion? Because the Hebrew faith doesn't have anything to do with that mindset in the least. That's how the Hebrews do it, but I can't speak for the others. I might be wrong about all of this. Justafari? No, I don't worship Rastafari, but he was quite a leader to his people, Average Joe. I'll give him that. Let's continue. What is the vow of a Nazarite, Laser asks. The vow of a Nazarite exists in two places, in Numbers chapter 6 and in the book of Judges, basically, right, in the story of Samson. So the Nazarite vow is three things. It's no cutting of the hair, no coming next to dead bodies, right, defilement of death, no coming into contact with dead human bodies, corpses, and no partaking of anything of the grape, meaning that you can't have wine vinegar or wine or raisins or anything to, or grape, or the fruit of the grape, or the husk, or the seed, nothing to do with the actual grape. There you go. That's the Nazarite vow. Now, it's a means to an end in that sense. It's a small thing that holds a world entire. Travel says Zion and a heart. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Imaf says, as I understand Christianity, we are indeed commanded to spread the religion. You are correct. That's what I've noticed, and that's what I see here in the chat. A lot of Muslims say I need to become Muslim. A lot of Christians say I need to become Christian. But I don't see that happening in other places where Hebrews are saying you need to turn to the Hebrew God and go according to Torah. No, the other nations are discouraged from going in the ways of the Torah. The other nations are actively discouraged from learning Torah in some cases. The other nations are actively told to pursue their own way of life. That's it. Laurpo says, you need to read the Old Testament, my boy. Oh, I think I have. I can always read it again, this much is true. You need to read Isaiah carefully. You'll find out who the real goats last were. Jesus Barabbas and Jesus Christ, one got slaughtered and one freed. Yes, I understand, but if you're giving Isaiah as a way to counteract the 5 books of Moses, therein lies your folly, because the 5 books of Moses take precedence in the hierarchy of revelation, and the prophets, the writings, and the scrolls cannot go against the Torah, meaning that the prophets, the writings, and the scrolls are all there to point back to the covenant of Torah. That's it. That's why they were canonized as such in the Hebrew Bible. When they came to canonize and codify, let's say, those stories, certain things were kept in, certain things were left out, right? Things like Josephus were left out. So, I believe you are mistaken, however, for the Hebrew people. However, for Christians, of course you're obviously correct, because Christians and followers of Yeshua see him everywhere. They see Jesus everything. He's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. He is the Word made flesh. Ergo, he is in everything and was there before creation and will be there after creation. So there's absolutely nothing, no place where he doesn't exist. There you go. Okay, let's continue. Matt says, what the fuck are you talking about? Well, here we are discussing spirituality, faith, religion, self-development through my eyes and through your eyes. And that's why the dialogue is so nice and so important. And that's why it's so strengthening and nourishing and encouraging. And that's why I love going live from Jerusalem. It's always, always weird. Okay. Jordan says, just weird business school locker room talk. There's nothing to explain to us, dog. We get it. I don't know if you're talking to me or not, but I'm not trying to explain anything. I'm trying to address questions as they come in and to have a dialogue with people. That's what I do here. And it's awesome. Traveling Champion says, how can you be a light and teacher to nations? I'm not. while telling other nations to leave you alone and do your own thing. Well, I don't do that, but I don't think that I can be a light or a teacher. I don't presume to be a light or a teacher in any way, shape, or form. I'm not a sage, I'm not a scholar, I'm not a rabbi, I'm not a man of halacha, I'm not an educated man or a learned man, not in the least. I'm just a regular dumbass Hebrew in the Middle East with a phone. But how can that be? It's because, just like Moses told the people of Israel, you busy yourselves with doing your own thing, carrying out the commandments, right? Cleaving to the covenant that you received at Sinai, and the ways and traditions of your ancestors, and of its own accord, it will happen where you, by virtue of simply minding your own business, the Hebrew people carrying out the Hebrew covenant, that in itself affects the world, right? Like a stone thrown into a pond, things ripple out. So on the one hand, we mind our own business, and on the other hand, the world is affected. That's how. Okay. You're not Hebrew, you fucking moron. You're not black. So, Adirondack, you have no idea what you're talking about. A Hebrew is somebody who is part of the Hebrew faith. I could have converted this morning to Judaism, and I would be 100% Hebrew, whether you think it or not. Ma'over alecha, says Vegetao-G. Ma'over alai, yam shel dvarim, masayot, anashim, nazelet, yam shel dvarim ovrim alai. Yep. Hop on the phone, Hebrew. Hop on the phone. I'll tell you what, I'll do it this way. No, I did a vertical hop. So I'm not black, but I am a Hebrew. But as for me being a fucking moron, you're definitely right about that. I am a fucking moron. That much is true. Okay, let's continue. Travel says religion is made to divide and separate people. It's all made up. Well, there are certain facets of religion that are literally made up. This is true. And you don't have to have faith intertwined with it. You can simply take it as a wisdom, what not to do, what to do. And in that sense, it's not there to divide necessarily, but there is some division that goes along with it. I agree. There is some separation, but it's not an end. It's a means to an end. The means towards that end are divinity going towards unity, the branching out going back to the root. You see? So religion, while it is or does have a divisive element to it, a tribal element to it, an in-group, out-group element to it, an othering to it, well, that can be very negative. It can, if you take it in righteousness and in a cleaner form, if you will, as a discipline, as a commitment, you try to be a good person, that, and I know that I'm making a broad generalization there when I say good person, then that can lead you back to the root. And so when we are all busy practicing our religion in the best possible way for the betterment of ourselves and others, we eventually climb up to the root and meet there together, where all of the divides disappear, all of the borders are made null and void, and we can come together without the religions to divide us as one unified human race. That's the way back to Eden. That's the path to the tree of life. I'm the poop man, says Creamy. Well, are you the creamy poop man? Are you the chunky poop man? I suppose then your name would be Chunky, but okay. Yes, now says, what we talking about? Well, we're talking about poop right now. I mean, I don't know, we all do it, right? Might as well. The last Amando says, how Jewish do you think today's Jews are? Well, Jews are Jewish. It can be that you're culturally Jewish or ethnically Jewish, biologically Jewish, even if you don't keep the actual commandments. There is something indeed that might be lacking, yes. But what do you mean when you say Jewish? It depends on your lens, right? Not on mine. Considering centuries of mixing with Europeans, Arabs, and other people, yes, there are Hebrews who came from Europe. There are Hebrews who came from Arabia. There are Hebrews who came from Asia and from Africa and from America and from all sorts of places. They are still irrevocably Hebrew if they are part of the Hebrew tribes. Then, you can call them secular, religious, but they are Hebrews nevertheless. Okay, let's continue. Zionists are scum, says Matt. Zionists are scum, 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 Zionists are... Was it 9 times? I don't understand what you're saying. Zionists are what? Say it one more time. Let's continue. Are there Hebrews from Antarctica? MH says, maybe, I have no idea. Likely. I don't know if they originated there or if they were exiled to Antarctica. But yeah, maybe. Treat others the way you want to be treated. It's simple. Love is the only answer, Truth in Love says. There is very much something to that, right? When the convert Gentile who wanted to convert, came to Hillel the sage, he told him, "Give me the entire Torah while I stand on one foot." And he said, "What you hate, do not do unto others. That is the entirety of the Torah. The rest is commentary. Go and learn it." And that's what I say as well. Okay. Bryce says, "Fuck religion." Yes, definitely. Many religions do have a sexual element to them. Many religions consider sex to be sacred, the Hebrew faith among them. So fuck religion is a lot of different religions, yeah. Shut the fuck up and get a job. I actually am taking a break from my day job to do this. But I have been working. I worked about 5 hours so far. It's now 2 p.m. and I've worked about 5 hours today. Started after I dropped off the kids. Went to work at 8:30. So here I am taking a break. Is that okay? Can I take a break for a couple of hours to live stream and then go back? Thank you. Most appreciated. And I don't have a job. I have a career. It's wonderful to have a career. There were many years where all I had was a job, sometimes a low minimum wage, dead-end, soul-sucking job. And now Adonai has blessed me with a wonderful career, a job I am happy to go to. I can set my own hours. I can work from the office or from home. The people there trust me. The higher-ups give me creative freedom. And I could not ask for a better position in life. And I do know this from bitter experience of having those dead-end jobs, of being unemployed a couple of times in my life. I deeply appreciate it whenever someone tells me to get a job, and I'm thankful and grateful and truly am happy to be in this position because nothing good will last. It could be that the company closes down. It could be that I'm fired or let go. There's no actual necessity that I might continue with this until retirement, but for now, in the here and now, here's what I'm doing, and I love it. And I thank you for once again bringing that to my attention. I'm truly grateful. It's no small thing. Okay. תהנו מהזמן הפנוי שלכם ותודה שאתם מלמדים כאן. Well, crazy cat lady, love the name by the way. She said, thank you for your, enjoy your spare time and thank you for teaching. Well, I'm not teaching, I'm conversing. It's a dialogue, that's all this is. It's a dialogue that I believe in having. It's a dialogue that I believe can be beneficial and fruitful. It is to me, beneficial and fruitful, and I know it is to me. Sam says, what about DNA test? What about DNA test? It's very, all right, there are different regulations and rules in place in Israel, I've found, through people saying that it's illegal, and I found out that it is not actually illegal, but it is heavily regulated here in Israel. All right, let's continue. Free Palestine, says Sheikh Huzzah. I agree. Free Palestine from Hamas. Free Palestine from the warmongering, bloodthirsty, corrupt, religious extremist leadership. Free Palestine from the terrorist organizations and the people who rule them with an iron fist. Free Hamas from religious extremism. Free Israel from religious extremism too. And may we be able to know peace. Thank you, Sheikh, for supporting Israel and the IDF. It means a lot to me. I don't have any, man. All I have is my emergency money on me. I don't have it. I didn't take out any cash, man. I can't give you anything. Sorry, guy. Yeah, and it's emergency money, and I'm not going to give it to you. I need it. Okay, let's continue. Hamas is evil, says Alistair Amon. Yes, I'm inclined to agree. Now, it started off as a social movement, but it has a militant wing. And over time, I think that the militant wing kind of overtook the rest of them, but I don't... You know what, man? You want the 50, take the 50. There it is. I expect you to give it back to me. It's emergency money. I have it in my wallet for a reason. Right, people? Tell him. You need to carry some emergency money. Okay. M says, טוב אחי, אתה אחלה, מצטער שהייתי תוקפני, חשבתי שאתה גנוב. אני לגמרי גנוב, שלא תהיה טעות. Okay. הכל טוב. So, Israel created and founded Hamas. Wrong. Hamas was founded, it was an offshoot of the Muslim Brotherhood. However, for a time, the Israeli government was transferring Qatari money to Hamas, and Israel was like a funnel. And there are people who say that there is actually Israeli money that was handed off to Hamas because the conception was mistaken, and the idea was, if you give them money and you elevate their quality of life, They will leave behind terrorism and jihad, and their horrible ideologies would evaporate like a fart in the wind. But those people do not know Islam in the Middle East. Those people, obviously, and I say this as a complete layman dumbass, mind you, those people did not know what they were doing, did not know what they were talking about. Hamas took all the money and all the other billions of dollars of international aid money, and they used it for armaments, and they used it for munitions, and they used it for terror tunnels, and they used it to pay off other terrorists, and to pay their salaries, and to pay the families, presumably, of terrorists a stipend each month, depending on the amount of Jews, Zionists, Israelis that they killed. So Israel did not create Hamas, but Israel indeed for a time helped to fund it because of a horrible misconception that even I, with my own stupid, narrow view, could have told them, it's not a good idea. Not a good idea. Never give a Muslim money, says Average Joe. Well, that's, again, making a broad generalization that I can't get behind. I'm sure there are many people who will give you your money back and then some if you lend it to them. And they might be Muslim. Exactly, says Robert Harrison. Hey, Robert, Islam is evil. See, there are evil sides to Islam, but you can make the case of any religion or organized religion having evil elements and evil side to it. To make such a broad generalization, other people might be comfortable with doing. I simply cannot, because I enjoy taking things on an individual case-by-case basis. Now, you can call me naive. Many people do, I'm sure. And I think that in some cases, it's better to be naive than make that broad generalization. Because going with that broad generalization causes you to narrow your view and you miss the individual. You forget the human. And I'm not a fan of forgetting the human because that then causes me to dehumanize others. And that's not a path I want to go down. I've seen where it leads and it's not a good place. Okay. Any religion can be evil, says K3000. Precisely right. Precisely right. Any religion can be evil. That's true. Yuvraj, hi yalla, מה אתה חושב על ברית מילה? What do you think of circumcision? האם אתה חושב שתהיה מוכן להמשיך את הנוהג הרע הזה לנצח על תינוקות חפים? Right, so basically this dude's saying that it's a barbaric and bad practice, circumcision, to which I will go, yes, this is one of the pillars and hills on which I will die, because, right, figuratively speaking, it's a hill that I will die on, to have a covenant in the flesh, for males, right, for human men, babies, male babies, not females. Female circumcision is atrocious, and I do make the difference. I do differentiate female circumcision from male circumcision. One is the foreskin, which is neither here nor there, and it stops different infections and phimosis and other things. And the other one is removing the clitoris, which is a horrible thing because it's an organ made for pleasure, and it's a wonderful sacred organ that needs to be kept and treated gently, depending on how she wants to be treated, of course. So, yes, I am willing to support and continue to perpetrate this bad and evil practice forever on innocent babies. Yes, I am. The covenant of Abraham is in our flesh, and it symbolizes this idea of us being part of something that is greater than us. So to make the argument of, no, the baby can grow up and then consent and logically agree to having the foreskin cut off, that kind of goes against the point of it, which is this is above consent, this is above sense, this is something above and outside of logic. This is something that you get in your flesh at 8 days old or later if there's some sort of a medical problem. At 8 days old, if you are a Hebrew boy, you get the foreskin cut off because this is where we bring life into the world. For males, it's the sex organ, the procreation organ. We remove the cover, and when we remove the cover, we allow that divine revelation, let's say, to connect. When we remove the cover and the seal that covers it, then we are able to form a connection. But a Hebrew man is a Hebrew man even without the covenant of Abraham in the flesh. But to have the covenant in the flesh is a great symbolic, metaphorical, spiritual, and metaphysical thing. The covenant in the flesh is real. And it's done to a baby, a helpless, innocent child. We remove healthy tissue without anesthesia, just with a bit of wine in the mouth, right? So, yes, people can call it barbaric, people can call it nonsensical, people can call it malevolent and evil, and still I will say there is something to it that is above all of those things. but that's just my opinion, and well, the opinion of others too, but that's how I think of it. So yes, that's what I'm saying about that. Palestinian says Clips should just accept that Zionists take their land, expel and unalive them, and they should shut up while they are at it. No, I think that if any land was taken, it was because of either it was bought properly, legally, or it was taken by force in a war that the Zionists did not start, but certainly fought. Okay? As for being expelled, the transfer of people happens and has happened and continues to happen, and nobody says peep. But when it's the Jews, oh well, then it's a whole uproar. And as for unaliving them, if you are about to be attacked and you're about to be killed, and there are people coming to slit your throat and murder your children and drive you all into the sea, yes, there is such a thing as self-defense. And here's the kicker. Jews, Israelis, Israelites, Zionists are also capable of self-defense. Maybe at the time we were not able to, that's why things like the Holocaust went down, but now, thank God, we are able to. We have allies all over the world, we have intelligence, we have military capabilities, we are able to carry out self-defense, and this is a defensive war that Israel is fighting against its extermination. Now, people have this David and Goliath complex, this aggressor, aggressee, oppressor, oppressed narrative in their brain. It seems that they have forgotten any type of history and they think the world just popped into existence like 30 years ago or in 1948, and that is far from being the case. History teaches us a lot. As for shutting up while they are at it, I believe that if you do honestly think that you are part of an armed resistance fighting for freedom through terrorism, why should you shut up? It doesn't make you right, but sure, why should you shut up? Now, people can push back and challenge you and fact check you, and then maybe you'll be able to be less ignorant, just like I'm trying to do here. But to shut up about it, no, if they have something to say, they should say it. And then we can have discourse, then we can have dialogue. But if they just clam up, nobody is expecting anybody to clam up, but I am expecting people to actually stand behind what they are saying and what they are spewing, and to at least have some knowledge, some modicum of intellectual capability to stand behind what they're saying and give a proper argument and not just shout out slogans or, have blood libels or other things going on, because that's just asinine and that's not the way to have a conversation. Mikhail says, grow up, man-child. Well, I don't know if you're referring to me or not, but okay. Grow up, man-child. Let's put it this way. I am a man-child in the positive sense. I enjoy raising my kids, and through them I see my second, third, fourth, fifth childhood come into being. It's a wonderful thing to experience as a grown man, to re-experience childhood through my kids, not in a psychologically incestuous sort of way, simply in a way of being there and guiding them and helping them and being with them and playing with them and roughhousing with them. These are moments that stretch out for eternity, and I'm grateful to be a kid once again. Also, there is the idea of being a kid, growing into a man, and then rediscovering the kid that you left behind. And you don't need to have kids to find out that kid inside of you and to elevate him, but it is something that I'm actually working on actively in this life. That's part of why I do stupid things like wear silly hats. Okay. SSDV says, dog, why does your book refer to us as Goyim? And your lives more important than ours? I already answered this. I'll give you the bottom line. Goyim means nations. It's because you are nations that are not Israel. Israel is also referred to as a goy. As for being more important, some people think they are more important. I call that an idiotic frame of mind, and I don't follow it. As for why, well, people take the Torah and they run with it, and it's like I said, the shadow of vanity and pride and ego and arrogance, and I don't go with that. That's not what I go for. Okay, let's continue. Why do you wear dreads, and is it hard to clean? My hair is just natural dreadlocks that just grows like that because of the Nazarite vow. Is it hard to clean? No, I shampoo my scalp once every couple of weeks or so. I mean, if it gets actually dirty and I sweat a lot, then I shower right then and there. But if there's no real dirt, or reason, I do it like once a week, and I condition my hair from the mid-length to the bottom once every 4 to 6 weeks. That's how I keep it clean. And other than that, I try to not engage in unclean things. And if I do engage in unclean things, I put it up in a bun, I put it in a Rasta hat, whatever. What's a Hebrew Nazarite, says G-Man? It's a Hebrew who has taken on the Nazarite vow. That's what that is. Pat Mitch says, my view is unaliving innocent people is wrong. It's part of a bigger plan. Well, I don't know what bigger plan you're referring to, but innocent people, unfortunately, sadly, have been unalived and killed mercilessly sometimes, atrociously, in most 99.9% of wars. That's the way it goes down. Civilian populations do suffer during a war between armies, between terrorist groups, between armies and terrorist groups, between armed militias, and that's just the way of the world. Now, Hamas intentionally uses their own population as human cannon fodder, as human shields. Hamas intentionally puts them in the line of fire, puts their headquarters and rockets and missiles and launchers and people and fighters in mosques and in schools and in hospitals and in private homes in order for the civilian casualties to maximize, so they can then run to the West with the photos and say, oh, those Zionist occupying pig dogs, look what they did. But I don't have any sympathy for Hamas. I have sympathy for innocent victims of a war they didn't start. I have sympathy for the generation that's been brainwashed by Hamas, who has been in power since 2006, and that wiped out Fatah over there. They dragged them through the streets. They killed them. They rule their population with an iron fist. And I have sympathy for the innocent people in Gaza. That's who I have sympathy for, not for the combatants, that's for sure. Are you Muslim? No, Andre, I'm not Muslim, not even close. Meme Tori? Oh, memento mori. I love that phrase, memento mori. It's one of my go-tos. If the world was made up of people with minds like yourself, it would be a much, much better place. You see, I mean, first of all, I appreciate the vote of confidence. There are times when I'm also a prick. There are times when I get angry. There are times when I fly off the handles. I try to discipline my mind. I try to be open to more than one narrative at one time. I try to have my mind be a place where contradicting things can find their zone. As for being a much better place, that's, I think, how we are supposed to behave. We are ideally supposed to behave in such a way where if everybody acted like us, the world would be better for it. So I fall short of the mark every day, and I fall from God's grace every day, and I don't live up to my own ideals every day. But that is what I'm going for, to be sure. That sort of untouchable, unreachable idealism and perfection, that's what I'm going for. And as long as I am on that path, I take strength and comfort and solace from that. So even on my bad days, and even when I'm following the lusts of my heart, and even when I'm doing things that are wrong, even when I get angry, even when I shout. Yes, definitely. I need to pick up the kids in an hour. Okay. Again? Oh, his, of course. Yes, I will. I'll be available. Okay, let's continue. Yuvraj says, I would rather commit suicide knowing someone destroys something so personal. I would rather commit suicide knowing someone destroy something so personal. I don't know what that means, but I'll continue the comment. What do you think about the Nordic countries like Norway and Denmark attempt to ban male genital mutilation back then? I think that if the Hebrews want to have male circumcision without the local government getting all up in their business, they should come to the land of the Hebrews, and they should practice the Hebrew circumcision of Abraham in Israel. But if you go to a different country, by and large, you ought to accept the laws, regulations, and rules of that country. So you could make the argument of working through the local system from the inside out. And you could work at it with protests from the outside in. But you cannot necessarily expect foreign powers, foreign leaders, foreign nations who are of the nations and not Hebrews to respect and allow the act of circumcision of males that on the surface is wicked, evil, barbaric, nonsensical, and immoral. I definitely understand those countries that want to ban it. Definitely. I understand them. Okay. Let's continue. The last Mando says, do you think there should be a pan-Arab republic like Nasser wanted, and do you think there should be a pan-European state? So I don't know enough about what Nasser. Okay, have a good one, man. God bless. Feel better. Okay. So I don't know what Nasser wanted. I do know that a pan-Arab republic, look, you know who's got it right? The Emirates. The Emirates have it right in the sense that, from what I've gathered, they are local sovereigns, but part of a unified entity, right? That like the United Arab Emirates, the UAE, don't seem to have a problem, or not a lot of problems, because they've decided that they each have their own place, right? And they could do it. Some people say that the caliphate needs to make a comeback. Some people say that when there is a proper Islamic caliphate in place, things will be very, very different. The thing is that emirates do not exist in the state of Israel and around the area, and a caliphate does not exist in the state of Israel or in the surrounding area. So I don't know what that would entail. I don't know what it includes. I don't know how it will come to pass, and I don't know what would happen if it would be implemented. As for a pan-European state, I don't know about that. I know that the European Union is a wonder. I don't know. Look, people say the European Union is a failure, but just the mere fact that Europe, until Russia-Ukraine, had its longest time ever, I think, without a war. The mere fact, the simple fact that European nations were able to come together after so much war and bloodshed and say, okay, enough, let's have a union, that gives me hope. That gives me hope for a global peace. That gives me hope for a global unification of humankind. Okay, let's continue. Going down in the chat, going down. Okay. Thank goodness people are stopping to care for Israel's rights, says is it Orwe? Ooh-wee. Vibing says, if I donate $200, how will you react? Well, everything goes to charity, so feel free to donate $200 to charity. I still don't know which charity. I think last night I actually passed the threshold to receive a first payment. This channel was only monetized a couple of weeks ago, and I think last night, well, by your generous donations, I think I passed the threshold, which means that maybe at the end of February or later in March, I will be able to see how much money actually came in. Safe travels, God bless, love you. I will be able to see how much money came in, and I will take the check, and I will consult with you good people on what charity to give it to. I might be alternating or, doing a revolving charity sort of thing. So if you give $200 to charity, that would be awesome. Good for you. That's how I would react. I would be very, very happy for the charity that will eventually be getting it. Yes, let's continue. Well, womp womp, says Vibing Flower. Well, womp womp indeed. Where do you live, says G-Man. I am in Zion. I'm in Jerusalem. That's where I am. How old do you think the Earth is, says Laser. The Earth is billions and billions of years old. Well, billions. I mean, the planet is a few billion. Is it a few billion years old, right? The universe right now is, what do they say? Between 13 and 14 billion years old? That's how old the Earth is. However, there is that idea of the creation as we know it, as we count it, existing for 5,768 years. 68? No, not 68, 86. Sorry, my mistake. Pevav. 86. 5,786 years. This does not mean that that's how old the Earth is. It means that creation as we know it has a point of origin, as we know it. And I use that term specifically, as we know it. And that is 5,786. Also, there is the idea of 6,000 years and then 1,000 years of a Sabbath, just like there are 6 days of labor and 1 day of a Sabbath. And there is the idea more than that of 7,000ths, meaning we are in a cycle of 7. And right now the Kabbalists say that we are in the second cycle out of 7, meaning that there was 7,000 years of creation before this 5,786 started the count. And we are the second in a series of 7,000ths. Everybody got that? Okay. So that's how old the Earth is. It's billions and it's thousands together. It's like physically, it's billions of years old. Spiritually, as we manifest it here, right, in the commandments and stuff, and the way that we see it, it's 5,786. Gayest city in the world is Tel Aviv, Abu Haris says. Well, it is very gay-friendly, I'll give it that. Lenin says, don't avoid the question. I'm sorry, Lenin, the chat is moving very rapidly. If I didn't get to your question and I don't get to it again, because I might not, first of all, say it, tag me, I might see it. Or if you want, I'm not telling you to donate, but if you want me to definitely read it, a super chat, that's how you get my attention. I'm not telling you to donate. I'm telling you that or you don't do that. Don't give any money. Leave a comment on any one of my videos. I address each and every comment that I get that is addressed to me. So by all means, if I miss it here, and I'm sorry if I do, to all of you, the chat's moving very fast. I'm not able to see each and every one. I'm here on my phone addressing a question. I turn my head to the laptop. I see a question. I address it, and so on and so forth, which means that I'm missing 90-something% of what is going on in the chat, the different conversations that are going on, the dialogue between the different chatters, and I'm sorry, that's simply the nature of YouTube and this live stream. There's only so much I can take. I only have 2 eyes, and I have glasses. So, but I do answer each and every comment. So Lenin, if I do miss your thing, please don't take it, my apologies, but don't take it as me ignoring you, don't take it as some sort of a cowardice, don't take it as me censoring you or blocking you or deliberately not answering you or addressing what you said. It's literally the case of not being able, right, of too much chat, too little time. So comments are something that I answer daily, regularly. So let me know, leave a comment if I don't manage to see it in the chat. Okay, let's continue. Israel or Palestine? Both, as far as I'm concerned. We should live in peace. America First says, why did God wait billions of years to create people if we are only 5,786 years to existence? No, that's not what I said. People, humanoids, hominids, and other iterations of humanity have been around, definitely. This cycle teaches, right, this second cycle teaches that wait, a super chat came in, but I'll wait. I'll finish this first. It's not that God waited. It's that there is a natural progression to these cycles. That's why. That's the thing. In the natural progression of a cycle, in this second cycle of 7,000, we consider that origin point to be 5,786 years ago. At no point does that mean that there was no civilization before. It does not mean that there was no humankind of one sort or another before. It means that in this cycle, right, of the 7 cycles of 7,000, it means that the Earth has been around for billions of years. But again, there's the physical element and the metaphysical and spiritual element. Those are two things that are connected, but you can think of them separately, or rather, you can think of them as existing on different planes of the same existence. Something like that. I'm not getting it through. I'll read it again. Let's see. Why did God wait billions of years to create people? So, evolution, Morpheus, evolution. That's why I'm a believer in evolution. I believe that the Torah and evolution go hand in hand. I believe that the account of creation in Genesis and the account of, let's say, the Big Bang is one and the same. I believe it coincides. Because also, I don't take the account of Genesis as literally as others. Okay, let's continue. What do you believe in? Please explain. That's interesting. Well, Michaela, thanks for the donation. And I am a Hebrew person. I go by the Hebrew Torah. I believe that the people of Israel stood at the foot of Mount Sinai, heard a revelation of a voice of God. So I believe in the Torah. I believe in its commandments. I believe in humanity that came before religions divided us, before the tongues and cultures separated us, before we separated into Israel and nations. We were one unified human being, right? We were one unified human race. And I believe that ultimately all of the branching out will come home to roost, to the root, and we will go back to Eden and partake of the fruit of the tree of life, which was put under guard, but never forbidden. The path of the tree of life was put under guard, but when we go back there this time, having merited it through love and understanding, ideally, the guards will become guides, and we will be able to go partake of the fruit of the tree of life. Because life here in this world is a duality. It's life as opposed to death, death as opposed to life. But the fruit of the tree of life is a singularity. It's not like the tree of knowledge of good and evil, that's a 2. It's a tree of life, that is a 1. And death will be taken away. So that's what I believe. I believe we are here to go back to Eden and start humanity phase 2, after partaking of the fruit of the tree of life. For the Hebrew people, the way to achieve that is Torah and commandments and cleaving to the covenant that we were given. That's, in a nutshell, what I believe. What do you believe? I'd love to hear. Let's continue. Was there another thing that came in? No, I think that's it. Okay, cool. Let's continue with the chat. See, G-Man says he's spamming nonsense and emojis without engaging with anything. Chimp-like IQ on display. I'm not sure who you're talking about. Not sure who you're talking about. Okay, let's continue. Rock says, so what when you are wrong? What's when all a lie and there is no good? What if I don't believe in any God or religion, but I spread love to everyone? Well, if you spread love to everyone, good for you. Keep doing your thing. I don't care what other people believe. I don't care what other people think. I don't care what other people do as long as they stay out of my business, you know? It's like if something horrible and immoral is happening in front of me, maybe I'll do something about it. But basically, it's live and let live. That's what I'm thinking of. Oh, another one came in. Michaela says, Tevorach, be blessed. הכי חשוב להיות אדם קודם כל. The most important thing is to be a human first. מקווה שתתרום לניצולי שואה או למבוגרים חסרי ישע. I hope you give the money to Holocaust survivors or helpless elderly. That's a good idea. I just might do that. Once again, once I get the first payment, I'll decide along with you people, I'll make a poll, most likely, in one of the posts in the community tab on what and whom to give it to. And also, I'll probably give, 1 month to this and 1 month to that, depending on if and when I do get these payments through. But I will try and make it as transparent as possible, so you will know precisely where each and every shekel, dollar, rial, dinar, rupee, and Australian Canadian dollar is going. Donate to children in Gaza, says G-Man. You see, that is an interesting thing. Would I donate to the children in Gaza? The only way that I would donate to the children in Gaza is if I literally had the children in front of me giving them the cash. Because I'm of the opinion that money that is sent to Gaza through different Palestinian charities or whatnot ends up in the hands of Hamas very easily. I can't trust Hamas. I simply cannot trust them to actually deliver the money to people. And they are the authority, and they are the government, and they are the rule of law in Gaza. So I think that it would have to be one of the months, if somebody can actually verify to me that that money is going to innocent children who have done nothing and are innocent victims of the war they didn't start. Yes, I definitely would give to the children of Gaza. But if it's some Palestinian charity organization, I wouldn't necessarily give it to them. No. Now, every organization and every nonprofit does have its board, it has its admin, it has people who take a salary. I know that going in, and I'm fine with that. If you people decide give it to homeless people on the street as opposed to an organization, I'll do that. If you people decide to do it one way or another, I might go with that. Maybe. I'll definitely be consulting the community on which charities to give to. I don't know if every month or every other month, depending on what the payments will be. I don't know how it will go down. I have yet to receive even a single payment, so it hasn't yet come to pass. I don't know how it will happen. But donating to the children in Gaza is a viable option if I actually know it's going to them. That would be my condition. I don't want to give money to Hamas. That would be counterproductive and not good. Not good at all. Okay. Do you believe the rainbow and God's promise to humans not to flood them again, says Laser. I believe that the rainbow is a covenant between God and all creation. It doesn't say humans. It says kol basar, all flesh. So, first of all, I love the covenant of the rainbow. I think it's it's simply a natural phenomenon. B, I think that it's a physical natural phenomenon. And it originates in a spiritual element. Everything that happens here in the physical world has a spiritual origin. The spiritual origin of the rainbow, right, is to remind us that we indeed are broken light. And I always, in connection with the rainbow, bring the words of the wonderful poet Leonard Cohen, right? Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That's what he said in his wonderful song Anthem. And it's true. The rainbow is broken light. And it's here to remind us and to remind the forgetful divine revelation not to bring a flood, because we are simply broken light. That's what we are. We are broken. We are in a world of good and evil. We have been cast out of Eden. We brought death into the world. We're sometimes just trying to survive. We are sometimes just scraping by. We are sometimes so, just so utterly human. Like, oh, the humanity. That's what I'm talking about. So I believe that the rainbow is a natural physical phenomenon. And I also believe that in its spiritual root, it is a covenant that symbolizes God's promise, right? I don't know God. All I know is how God reveals himself to me. Part of that divine revelation is seemingly a little forgetful, and that needs the reminder that we humans are broken light and that we should not be destroyed simply for manifesting the spectrum of our adequacies and inadequacies. But it's for the divine revelation to look at and remember that despite being broken up into a spectrum, we all have a single origin in being the image of God. And we all have an origin if we're not human. Like I said, all creation, all flesh. We are all creations. We are all earthlings. And as such, we deserve some grace and we deserve some mercy and we deserve the opportunity and the ability and the capacity to learn betterment and to better our ways in the process. So I believe it, yes, but I also believe it is a natural physical phenomenon. Okay, let's continue. Going down in the chat, going down. Going down in the chat, going down. Okay. Are Islam and Christianity avodah zarah, says G-Man. Halachically speaking, Christianity is because they worship, it's idolatry because they worship Jesus as God. As far as I know, Islam has no statues and no sigils and no images of Allah, or Muhammad for that matter. Islam is also, look, there's two types. There's avodah zarah, which means foreign worship, worshiping foreign idols. And there is foreign worship, which is worshiping the Hebrew God in a foreign way. Both of those are foreign worship. One is a foreign deity, one is a foreign worship of the proper deity. The Hebrew people are not supposed to partake of either one of those. We are supposed to worship the Hebrew God in the Hebrew fashion, right? So none of that and none of that. Not column A, not column B. Christianity is idolatry because they have, images of Jesus and whatnot. They may not bow down to them, right? Like some Buddhists do with statues of Buddha, or maybe they do bow down. I don't know. I don't know Christianity and Islam enough. But just off the top of my head, I will say that it might be considered avodah zarah. Right? For Christianity, it would be worshiping a pagan god, Jesus, God incarnate. For the Islam, it would be worshiping the one God, Allah, but in a foreign way, meaning foreign to the Hebrews. So I know that Hebrews are allowed to pray in a mosque, according to some halachic rulers, not all of them maybe, but some halachic scholars and rulers say you're allowed to pray in a mosque, you're not allowed to pray in a church. I would sooner go into a mosque than a church. I've never been to a mosque or a church, even though I've been next to them. I've avoided them because of this idea of avodah zarah. But I think it's a debate on Islam, but the jury is in on Christianity as far as I know. You deserve nothing, says Lenin. Yes, likely. I don't deserve anything. I have been blessed. I am standing on the shoulders of giants, and I'm simply trying not to urinate on everybody, below. But I definitely deserve nothing. I don't attribute anything, right? I don't attribute anything to myself. I'm trying. I'm making an effort to better myself. I'm making an effort to try and be a little less dumb with every passing day. I don't always do it. Sometimes it's every 2 or 3 days. I try to learn Torah daily. I try to do good things by and large and to treat other people as I would want to be treated. But as for deserving, no. Everything I get is a gift. Everything I get is a blessing. Everything I get is because others are toiling. This is not to say I don't have a job and I don't work for my bread. That's not what I'm saying. But do I deserve it? No, I don't deserve it. What I deserve is nothing, like you said. But thank God that I'm given the grace and the mercy and the opportunity, the length of breath, to be able to make amends and make tshuva and return to the covenant and the commandments that I am commanded to keep. So for some reason, God has decided, especially through my woman, God bless her. My woman is the physical vessel through which all blessings come into my life and into this house. I acknowledge her each and every day, and if not every day, then definitely every Sabbath, because she is indeed my Sabbath in human form. So while I deserve nothing, I live a life of abundance. I live a life of wealth and health, relatively speaking, right? And happiness and joy, not even happiness. Happiness is fleeting, but joy has this transcendent element to it. Now, there are times when I'm sad, there are times when I'm down, there are times when I betray myself and I shout and I get angry and all that. But by and large, I don't think that I deserve anything really. I think that if I work for something, I might deserve something for it, but the mindset is humility, right? So by the law of justice, I deserve nothing because I've taken so much and I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. But by the law, let's say, of the right hand, the giving hand, the hand that is always giving, then I do deserve, but still not because of my merits, because of the merits of my forefathers, because of the merits of my foremothers, because of the merits of my wife and my kids and those around me that give me the opportunity. And all I can take advantage of is that. I just try to take advantage of the opportunities as they present themselves. Sometimes I miss them, sometimes I take advantage of them. But when you say I deserve nothing, you are definitely correct, Lennon. That is also true. Okay. Matt says, Israel gets free healthcare from subsidized military aid from the US. So I literally did a clip from a live stream I did last night on this very idea, where I'm saying I'm definitely on board with having an America First policy. But there's definitely a reason why the higher ups in industry and military in the States are giving billions of dollars to Israel. A lot of it goes back to the US, buying armaments, buying munitions, buying weapons, buying different things. And so the US has its military industry replenished with the money that they themselves gave. So it sort of goes back to US soil and US industry. But some of it might definitely go to healthcare. I will tell you that I pay for healthcare each and every month. I pay for many people, many people all over the country for healthcare because I give the healthcare tax, each and every paycheck. They take a chunk out of that and I give it to healthcare. Okay, let's continue. Why are you wearing a satanic devil horn mask, satanic devil worshiper, Burning 47? Hey, Burning, nice to see you again. The reason why I'm wearing it is A, people are calling me a devil worshiper, so I might as well lean into it. Second of all, it's just a funny hat. That's all. I wear funny hats on this stream on a semi-regular basis. And hopefully one of these days, Johnny Giraffe, my giraffe costume, will make a comeback. Maybe even this week. Okay, let's see. Let's continue. It's almost been 2 hours. I'm going to go soon. But not yet. Not yet. Okay, let's see. The Last Mando says, what do you think about mankind becoming one people? I'm on board with that. I don't know how it will happen, but I'm on board. Because right now we're set to become completely mixed in around 1,000 years. What do you think that'll mean for Judaism? I think that by the time we are completely mixed, if we are still apart at the time, then I think that will be the time when religions will fade away. We will be able to come together because once again, I think of Eden. In Eden, there was no Judaism. In Eden, there was no religion. In Eden, there were no other faiths, borders, cultures, languages, none of it. It was just humanity, nature, the divine revelation, chilling out. That's right. That's what we're shooting for right now. That's when humanity phase 2 kicks into gear. So I'm definitely on board with that. As for what it will mean for Judaism 1,000 years from now, presumably, if we are in a cycle of 6,000 years and then 1,000 of a Sabbath, then within the next 200 odd years, we will be completing the cycle of the 6,000 years of labor, right? It's said that it's 2,000 years of, 2,000 years of chaos, 2,000 years of Torah, 2,000 years of redemption, right? Tohu, Torah, Geulah, I think so. So we are nearing the end of the cycle. And as we know, the Sabbath comes in just before sunrise, sundown on the 6th day, meaning we are itching closer and closer and closer to that unification of mankind. I don't know how it will go down, but I don't think that we will have to wait for the next 1,000 years until it comes to pass. I think it will happen before that. I simply don't know how. Okay, let's continue. Why are genetic tests not allowed in Israel? Frederick asks. So I've already addressed this in this chat and in others. It is permissible. It's just very heavily regulated. That's it. That's all that it is. As for why, I'm not sure. People say it has to. Well, let's read the comment. Why are genetic tests not allowed in Israel? Is it because it will show that they are actually don't have Hebrew blood and most of them are from Eastern Europe? No. Most of the Jews are not Eastern European. That is a falsehood. Most of the Jews are Mizrahi Jews, right? From the Middle East, from the East, not from the West. It's 50-50, leaning towards Mizrahi Jews. Mizrahi Jews are brown Jews. They do exist and they are the majority. People have this conception that we are some Khazari, Eastern European, Nazi, supremacist. I don't know where they get this shit, but they are really, really into it. Either way, doesn't matter one way or another, most of the Jews are Mizrahi Jews. If not most, then it's really 50-50, leaning towards Mizrahi Jews. As for Hebrew blood, the blood makes absolutely zero difference because we can all be converts and we are de facto 100% part of the Hebrew tribes. The blood is irrelevant. The blood is irrelevant. Let's say that all of the state of Israel converted this morning, each and every one of us, all 8 million Jews here in the state of Israel became Jews this morning. We are already immediately 100% Hebrews. That's it. People have a major, major issue with the idea of conversion. I don't know why, but they do. Let's continue. Why does Israel steal land, SS says? Well, Israel did not steal land. Israel A, bought land, and B, won it in a war that they did not start. That's how wars are won. Also, C, Israel gave away plenty of land for peace. Israel disengaged from Gaza over 20 years ago. What did we get? We got a fist up our ass. So, Israel did not steal land. As for land that might be stolen, the very fringe of the settlements that I am also against, that might be considered stolen land. That is debatable. That I am willing to protest along with you. But as for Israel stealing land, definitely, definitely not. Hebrew is a language. Yes, it is a language. It is a people as well. Moses tells Pharaoh, the God of the Hebrews said, let my people go that they may worship me in the desert. The Hebrews are a people. We worship the Hebrew God. That's the way we roll. Love your shirt, brother. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Bleak Scowdewy. Appreciate it. Okay, let's continue. With AI and everyone getting a chip SIM connected to them, then we will all be one, says MW Astush. Interesting. Very interesting. Could be. Very well could be. The thing is that we have the Sabbath. The Sabbath is what keeps us from, let's say, integrating into that lifestyle fully. I could see how the Sabbath would be a saving grace in that sense, right? Where you unplug for 25 hours. That's what you do. No, you don't turn on electricity, you don't use the screens, you unplug, you take a dopamine detox, you have a holiday once a week. It's glorious and it's wonderful. Janelle says, are Hebrews trying to get rid of the Palestinians to get to some starting named place in order to bring on the Antichrist so that they can bring on the Messiah? Whoa, that's a whole lot of misinformation there, but I'll try and break it down. Hebrews are not trying to get rid of Palestinians. There were the Arab nations that started a war repeatedly, and they got their asses kicked, and then land was taken and given back, because that's what happens in war, and that is how peace is made. As for get to some starting named place, I don't know what that means. As for bring on the Antichrist, that's a Christian way of thinking, and I don't know Christianity, so I can't address that. As for bringing on the Messiah, no, I would rather bring on the Messiah through love, justice, and righteousness than through war, bloodshed, and conquest. Both of those narratives and both of those roads are viable options. I, for one, strive to live over here with love and righteousness and embracing my fellow human, rather than war, conquest, and bloodshed and suffering. But if we are attacked, and we are repeatedly attacked, we are in a war of annihilation here, fighting for our very existence, a defensive war, a continuous defensive war. This has been proven many, many times. The fact that we have more firepower does not negate the fact that everyone around us wants us dead. So I say that I would rather go through the love than hate, but, I'd rather go through peace than war. But it seems that right now that's the case. We will have war and suffering and conquest. Maybe then we will have peace, right? And if you want peace, prepare for war. Let's continue. And then I'll say goodbye in a few minutes. You're a liar, bro. Read 1 Samuel 15:3, says YW33. Okay, I will. 1 Samuel 15:3, the JPS Tanakh. The JPS Tanakh, first of all, the prophets don't negate the Torah. The authority goes to the 5 books of Moses, not the prophets. But I will read from the book of Samuel. Where was it? 15:3? Was that it? Wait, 15:3. Yes, 15 verse 3. ועתה לך והכית את עמלק וחרמתם את כל אשר לו ולא תחמול עליו והמתה מאיש עד אישה מעולל ועד יונק משור ועד שא מגמל ועד חמור. Yes, the war of Amalek. Correct. We don't know who Amalek is nowadays, so we cannot go and eradicate them. Now, Maimonides, when speaking of the king anointed Messiah, he says that if somebody rallies the people, has them go in a way of Torah and commandments, eradicates Amalek, and makes way to build the temple, that person can definitely be considered a Messiah. But if you don't know who Amalek is, the actual Amalek, then you will not be able to eradicate them. Also, Amalek is only to be eradicated from under the heavens. Spiritually speaking, at the root above the heavens, we are all one. There is no Israel and Amalek. There is just humanity, right? And that's always the mindset that I go with. As for being a liar, I don't know what I was lying about. If someone would have asked, are you commanded to eradicate the memory of Amalek under the heavens? And, every man, every woman, every child, every livestock, I would say, yes, that is a commandment. I'm not carrying it out, and I would rather not carry it out. And the reason why I'm not carrying it out is because we don't know who Amalek is, and we cannot ascertain the actual identity. It's not a viable commandment. In the very same way, there is a commandment to get divorced with a document called a get. Should I therefore divorce my wife in order to fulfill that commandment? No. Obviously, the Torah says it's better if you stay married. But if you're going to get divorced, here's how to do it. Just like with slavery, it's better not to have any slaves. People were meant to be free. But if you're going to have slaves, here's how to treat them. That doesn't mean you ought to have slaves. It doesn't mean you ought to get divorced. It means if you are going to engage, here's how you do it. So that's the same deal with Amalek, which does not make me a liar. It definitely does not make me a liar. Okay, we have a super chat. Says King Kaleyugan. I think I've seen you here before. Nice to see you again. Learn to love each other just like Israel loves El Shaddai, right? So El Shaddai are 2 names of the divine revelation with a relationship between them. They both represent the masculine divine revelation. El Shaddai is also the name that the patriarchs were very much in contact with. Learn to love each other. Amen. Learn to love each other. I'll give that a heart. I'm on board with that. That is a good way of thinking. I support it. On that note, on that lovely note of learning to love each other, I will say thank you to each and every one of you. This has been such a blessing. I am so thankful, so grateful. I am so honored, and I cherish these interactions because I don't take it for granted. You take time out of your day, out of your night, your afternoon, your weekday, your busy life to listen and engage, right? The lovers and the haters, right? The subs, the likes, the views, the chats, the super chats, the super stickers, the super thanks, the donations to charity. I deeply appreciate it. I don't take it for granted. Like I said, I hope that in turn, in keeping with the tradition here, I'm providing you with maybe a little bit of value or maybe some cheap entertainment. I learn from you. Iron sharpens iron. We're having a dialogue. We're having a discussion. I'm not here preaching or teaching or screeching. I'm just here having a conversation. This is part of what the internet is so good at. So I hope that you had fun here this afternoon. Goodbye from Jerusalem. Be blessed. Be a blessing. Be the light in other people's lives. I will see you, God willing, tomorrow for another live stream at some point. Lehitraot. Goodbye from Jerusalem. This was fun.